Yale did a study on whether or not AI has had an effect on jobs, and it has found that it has zero effect on jobs. And the reason why it's had zero effect on jobs is multifaceted, but you can see that there's kind of a disconnect between the claims made by a lot of AI companies who are replacing staff members with AI or doing kind of like AI layoffs versus the actual impact to the economy and to the job market. So I'm going to go ahead and make a statement that I think is backed by these kinds of scientific studies and statistics. AI is not having the effect, it's not having anywhere near the effect that people thought it would have on jobs. And the people who are making wild claims about AI layoffs are actually lying about it. And they're lying about it because they benefit from it. And you can also see, too, that companies are backing off. We're going to cover an article, I'll cover it next. Companies are backing off or regretting their decision to lay off workers in place of AI. Now, if AI is as good as everybody claims it is, then what you would see is Yale do a study like this and have actual evidence that says, yes, AI is having an impact on jobs. And instead, what we're finding is that it's not having economic impacts and it's not having impacts on jobs. And furthermore, along with an MIT study and I believe one other study that was done on the productivity outputs of AI, it is also not having an impact on productivity. The ROI on AI is either net neutral or net negative, which means AI essentially is a big nothing burger once again. Now, the claims that are being made all over the place, I think we have to consider why people are making them, like I said earlier, and whether there is some truth behind all claims, but it's just a matter of context, which I also could believe to be true. But I don't know. I have a suspicion based on everything I'm seeing that AI, the impact of AI is as overhyped as AI capabilities itself. That's all I'm going to say. If you remember yesterday's Tech Bytes episode 11, we went over how Bain, a financial company, did a research study on the impact that AI is having. And they estimated that by 2030, the amount of annual revenue that the AI industry needs to turn over in order to remain sustainable is something like $200 billion, if I remember correctly, something like that. It's some unreachable number, or 200 trillion, it might be. I can't remember exactly. But it would be, it's just like an inconceivable number that there's no way, we're not even close to that right now. Many companies are in the red. And so they continue going into the study of AI and how it is being used and whether it's having positive or negative impacts. Bain says 2/3 of software firms have rolled out Gen AI tools, but developer adoption is low among those, and teams using AI assistants report a productivity boost of perhaps 10 to 15%. So all the people immediately who said, oh, we're going to see 100x developers. No, you're not. It's not even close. It's not even close to that. And that's if it actually gets rolled out, because the other issue is when it actually gets rolled out. So you have the first issue is, will it get rolled out? And then the second issue is, what is the productivity output for developers when they actually get their hands on this? And it's really low. And that's on the high end, by the way. That's on the high end. And these financial companies that are doing studies, yeah, it would be scientific studies and surveys on developers, managers, executives, companies, CISOs, etc., are saying exactly this. Now, some of the issues that Bain did pick up on is, for example, the fact that the way that AI is being implemented is also wrong. It's being implemented in the wrong aspects of companies. So for example, it says writing and testing code typically accounts for about 25 to 35% of the total development process. So speeding up this stage alone is not going to be effective at reducing time to market. So not only is AI being implemented, let's say, poorly or very prematurely, but it's also being implemented in portions of companies where the ROI on it is going to be very low. They didn't just talk about developers, by the way. They also talked about just general aspects of general companies and how the, let's say, the lower ROI work is being replaced by AI way, way quicker than the higher value stuff. I believe if I actually look at value. Here we go. Time saved often isn't redirected toward higher value work. So even the modest gains that have been made have not translated into positive returns. What this means is that even if you have let's say you have like a 15% positive return on productivity from AI systems, that doesn't mean that developers now suddenly save 15% of that time and then they get to go do higher value work. No, it just means that they get more of the same work. That's what it means. We've seen this bear out in actual, what would you call it, executive employee studies in terms of time spent by employees as AI supposedly increases productivity. You're just burdened with more work as AI is saving you work. And employees rather are complaining about this because they're saying, wait, I'm reclaiming time from my own work by using AI, but instead what you're doing is making me work harder. So the entire process from start to end is completely broken. The failed promises of AI, particularly in the developer space, is really borne out here by this Bain study. The Gartner here says that more than 40% of agentic AI projects will be canceled by the end of 2027, and a benchmarking study by Carnegie Mellon finds that for multi-step office tasks, AI agents fail roughly 70% of the time. We've been over this. As soon as you get these AI agents to start doing things like mapping out calendar schedules, time off, meetings, etc., across many employees, especially as the company scales or gets bigger, these AI agents cannot do any amount of meaningful work. Their productivity output for managing those things precipitously drops. So there are all kinds of issues with these AI systems, and people are way too keen on integrating it into their businesses and saying, hey, look at all the positive things. And I understand that there are probably some one-off cases that people have anecdotally given me about positive things that they've seen with AI systems. They've implemented it internally into their own businesses, and like, it saved me a bunch of time and whatnot. But you know what's really interesting about every single one of those anecdotal instances? Every single time somebody has come up to me and said, hey, I've actually implemented it in my own business, Spiro, you're wrong, and it saved me a bunch of time. It's usually a very small mom and pop shop with very few employees, and AI is being used as an assistive factor, not a replacement factor. You would think, based on the claims around AI, that it would be able to assist all companies of all sizes, but it's just not true.